Thanks, Annette. Hello, everyone. Sally and I are doing a bit of a double act here, so I'm going to talk about the Felton campaign, and then Sally's going to talk about what good came from it. But just before I do that, like so many of the discussion that's been going on this morning, I've got quite a lot of thoughts on the GM stuff and CSG and all the rest, but I didn't want to be talking because I was coming on here now. But some of these issues are not, I don't think they're black and white issues, and sometimes, one of the points that Drew made before was the business of getting environmentalists and farmers together was, that was his whole, his big achievement in Lock the Gate, and I think it's important that we talk, that often you've got a farmer out here and an environmentalist out there, and you need to talk and discuss these issues, and you'll find you've got a lot in common, which you might not have thought of at the start. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the Felton campaign. Get this to work. So this is our farm at Felton. It's about 1,000 hectares. It's black soil, just the same sort of type that Graham's on. We don't have any irrigation, so we grow a variety of crops just using the rain that we can trap in the soil. We have some beef cattle, and we do a bit of farm stay. The system we're on is very different to Graham's. It's called controlled traffic, zero tillage. We use a lot of glyphosate. Boo hiss. Where's Chris is gone. Very happy to talk about that. The key to us is preserving as much moisture as we can. We don't have any irrigation. If we ploughed our land, we'd lose all our moisture and we wouldn't have crops. So in a couple of weeks we'll be harvesting wheat just because we keep our stubble. A lot of our neighbours who plough don't have crops, so it's not a black and white thing. So we keep all our wheel tracks in the same place so that we minimise compaction, and it's just a system we've come to. We run beef cattle outside. And this is the Felton Valley. It's a mixed farming area, usually quite a reliable rainfall, so we're able to grow summer and winter crops as a wide mix of crops, and some irrigation, some not. So in 2008, this mob came along, Amber Energy. No one had ever heard of them before. They're nearly dead now. They had plans for this massive open-cut coal mine. And not only was it going to be an open-cut coal mine, they wanted to put the coal through a petrochemical plant to make fuel. So it was horrendous. But luckily for us, it was so bad that, if you're trying to fight something, if you're fighting something that's really, really bad, you've probably got more chance of winning. So in the end, that was probably an advantage. So it was going to destroy a lot of land, pollute a huge area. They claimed it was a clean coal project, but it was going to produce 5 times as much CO2 as it was fuel, going to consume enormous quantities of water, so just madness. So we got together as a community, and the point came up before about farmers being quite independent types, and sometimes it's difficult to get farmers to work together, and that was one of our big things. We knew that individually we had Buckleys on our own trying to fight these people. So because very soon you learn that you're not just fighting the company. You might think the government's there as some sort of independent arbiter in the middle, but we soon learned that lesson. The government and the companies, they're just one together. They're sharing an office. That's the way it works. So the only way we were going to win was to get as many people to help as possible and try and work together. So we did this sort of thing. We had all these old grain bins that we weren't using anymore. That's an old cotton tarp, so we painted slogans on it, and we parked these up on the roadside. We were inspired by the 6 Degrees group here in Brisbane. They'd been on a trip to Kevin Rudd's office. Kevin Rudd was the Prime Minister at the time. They'd just done a sit-in there, and the photos looked pretty good on the internet, so we thought, right, we'll go and occupy Anna Bly's office. Because it's a good way of getting attention. No one had ever heard of Friends of Felton, but if you have a sit-in in Anna Bly's office and get on the phone and everyone wants to talk to you. Channel 9 finally came along, and the cameraman wanted us to have a bit of a chant. We didn't even have a chant. He said well, you have to be doing something. So we had to try and make up a chant on the spot. And we dressed up an unfortunate volunteer in the middle as Anna Bly with a hard hat and fluoro vest. And it was a bit of a stunt, but straight away we got attention, and it was a lot of fun. You've got to make these things fun, otherwise people won't come again. But if they're fun, more and more people want to join in. That was the whole the whole thing. And so we did a lot of fundraising, and so this is a cake stall in our local town, Pittsworth. We had some very good bakers who were good at that sort of thing, so it's good if you can make use of people's skills in different ways, and it gives you the chance to talk to the people that come along. We had race days in Toowoomba to raise money. We had members who were involved in breeding horses, so they were the obvious people to lead that sort of thing. We had auctions 2 minutes ago. Photographic exhibitions. And then we came out with, we raised a bit of money, and with some of that money, we employed a renewable energy consultant, Trevor Berrell, some of you might know him. So Trevor did a study of our valley to see what resources we had in terms of solar and wind. And so we put forward this alternative plan. You know, we've got quite a lot of sun. If you'd been at our place the past week, you would have seen there's quite a lot of sun. It's boiling. So we could easily have solar and wind, and we wouldn't have to dig up the farmland, and we'd be creating lots and lots of energy. That's just in one valley. I mean, it's just common sense. And go to Europe, that's coexistence. Cattle grazing under windmills, it happens all the time. Solar power towers, concentrating the solar in the salt in the tower, you've got solar power right through the day, 24 hours a day. Thanks to Drew, we mounted a campaign of civil disobedience. That got headlines. It's the only way to talk to these people. We had a wheelbarrow protest with vegetables in the middle of Toowoomba. That was a lot of fun. Then we joined up with some other groups. That platypus person is very dangerous. She's on next. But we had this combined protest with lots of other groups. And just at that minute, that policeman was getting a phone call to say a couple of the people from 6 Degrees were up on the roof. And they had a banner, "Don't undermine our farmland." It was magic. The company they set up an office in Pittsworth. They had a happy hour drinks night for local businesses. Well, we had our own happy hour on the pavement outside. There was double the number outside that there were in. We had a lot of fun with them. That office is shut down now, they've moved out. And things were going along, and finally we got a promise from the LNP. It was when Lawrence Springborg was leader of the opposition. He promised he wouldn't allow mining at Felton. He lost that election. So then we had a challenge for the next 3 years to keep them to that promise. So finally it was Campbell Newman was opposition leader, and Sally and I happened to bump into him in Brisbane, which was quite fortuitous. And I said, "We're getting these letters from..." Oh no, sorry, I'm getting that wrong. We held them to that promise. They went to this election saying they're not going to allow mining at Felton. So he won the election. But we waited for months and nothing was happening, and then the company turned up their drilling rig to do more drilling. And they were sending us these letters saying they want to talk to us. So we bumped into Newman, and I said, "What's going on? We're getting these letters. You guys said you weren't going to allow drilling there, allow mining." And he said, "Write me a letter." So I did. And I told him we'd be burning these company letters. So I don't know, but Gandhi used to do this sort of stuff. If you get a letter from these people, take it to their office and burn it, and that's better than binning it. It gives them a clear message, out of time. So finally we got this letter back from Campbell Newman, and we'd won. And if you want to know if you want the longer version, it's all there. So Sally's up next. Just on the right hand arrow.
That one.
Yeah.
So, this is the really good story. In 2011, Rob and I went to a market and wandering around, and I said to Rob, "I reckon we could do something like this." We'd been fighting the coal mining company. It was hard work, and the Year of the Farmer was coming up, and looking at this market, I thought, it can't be that difficult. So we went back to, I went home, I rang a few friends, "Can you help me?" They said yes, and so began this massive thing, the Felton Food Festival. We've only had 3. The first year we thought if we get 500 we'll be really, really pleased, and we got 3,000. The second year we thought, right, we better increase the number a little bit. We got 5,000, and this year in April we got 10,000. Wow. So we're just ordinary community people that have the energy, you know, the mining fight, we built a really good community, and it's all positive. Mining thing is in the past now, and we just are going to the future. So luckily, with the mine fight, we'd got quite a network of people who are really willing to help. And at this market that Rob and I went to, we bumped into Alistair McLeod, who's a celebrity chef. And he had been to our place 3 years or 4 years before that, doing a story about the farms day. And the first thing he said to us, you know, have you got rid of those miners yet? And we said, no, but do you think you could help us? And he said, yes, he would come and help us. And we happened to bump into Costa Georgiadis, and I said, Costa, can you come and help us? And he said, yes. So we had these two headline people who were coming to Felton, and they were absolutely brilliant. The theme is local food production. We grow this huge variety of food, and our farmers don't realise what a sensational product we're growing locally. And people in Toowoomba, the second largest inland city in Australia, had never really heard of Felton, and yet all this food was growing there. And we'd been fighting a mining company for so long and trying to get those people to try and help protect that area. And you'd still say to people, we're from Felton, they'd say, well, where's Felton? But now everyone's heard of Felton, so it's been a huge success. And I remember the first food festival, it started at 10 o'clock, and we were just finishing off some things, and I saw some people that I didn't recognise, so I went and said hello, thinking that they were volunteers. And they said, oh no, they're here for the food festival. And they were in there before the start-off time, and then I looked up, and there's this huge row of cars coming in, and it was just so much fun. It was just going to be a one-off, but because it was so successful and we'd sort of got the wheels rolling, we decided to do it again. But now there's this expectation that we'll just carry on doing it. And it is run by volunteers, and so the community, as they did in the mine fight, you know, they'd be at home doing their own stuff, but when we needed help on the phone, everyone just comes out of the woodwork and puts it on. It's such a happy and positive thing to do. And the pride that we feel in Felton running such a successful event with so many people really enjoying the day out. You know, we're focusing on food, but we provide entertainment for kids. You know, we've got a great big sand pit full of John Deere tractors and diggers and things like that. The farmer who owns the land that we have the food festival, he plants demonstration crops. So as people are walking up to the food festival, they walk past sunflowers, mung beans, sorghum, corn, all sorts of things. And this last one, we had a demonstration of harvesting mung beans. So you've got all these city people who have never seen what the crop looks like in the ground, and then we're showing them how it comes off the ground. And then we took those mung beans down to the main marquee, where the celebrity chefs had to then turn it into some food for us to eat. And the other thing we did, which was we kept it right under wraps, is that we got these two, Costa and Alistair, to milk a cow, and they had to use the milk in their cooking, and neither of them had ever milked a cow before. So Rob he let in one cow, and my son-in-law let in the other cow, and Costa, you could see straight away thinking, right, I should be able to do this, where Alistair, he was trying to get out the back door here, and he was sort of stroking the cow, and it was really, really very funny. And I've got a heap of photos, and I forgot to go through them. So here's Costa and Alistair, big crowd, and happy faces all day. It was just, that was our first one. And we had some of the local farmers were interviewed by Costa, and people just love listening to what farmers have got to say about what they do on their farms. So there's Costa again, just massive crowds. He's lovely. The next year, there's a big red tent from Food Connect. Was it Food Connect? Yeah, Food Connect. Local produce, Alistair. One of the producers that comes along came with some animals so the kids could sort of touch them. And in the background, you can see there are crops there for people to walk through. Just lovely, lovely. And there's Costa, and you can, if you look carefully, you can see his milk is missing the bucket completely, and the look on the cow is what? Yeah, he did, and then the cow kicked the bucket and lost the lot. So, and then the milk they did eventually get, we had to strain it a couple of times because it couldn't be used with all the muck that they'd put in it. So, and there's a picture of the header going through the mung beans, and the kids in the sandpit. And there we are, Felton Food Festival next year. The first year we won an Australia Day award for a community event, and we've got an awards night tonight. We're finalists in the Condamine Alliance Environmental under Community. So I don't know, it's just a brilliant event. Mining's in the past, got the future. We're celebrating what we do best, and that's growing food, and we want to protect all these regions like Felton because food is what we do, communities, it's the salt and earth of Australia, so that's it.